Welcome to the Work Trends podcast from Talent Culture. I'm your host, Megan Mbiro. Every week, I interview interesting people who are reimagining work. And be sure to check out our Work Trends Twitter chat events calendar located at talentculture.com on the podcast page. Welcome to the Talent Culture Work Trends podcast, sponsored today by Workforce Software. I'm Megan Mbiro, and today we are exploring how companies can tap into the voice of employees to shape a successful culture. Employee engagement reached 23% in Gallup's 2023 report, but quiet quitting persists, costing $8.8 trillion globally. Many employees simply lack purpose, supportive bonds, or understanding of their impact, though physically present. This drains 9% of global GDP, which amounts to $8.8 trillion. How do we address this within our own organizations? Joining me today is Dr. Angelina Sun, Workforce Management Solutions Director at Workforce Software. Dr. Angelina Sun is the Workforce Management Solutions Director at Workforce Software. Before joining Workforce Software, Angelina worked in various industries, including education, consulting, computing and electronics, e-commerce, and enterprise software. In recent years, she's been dedicated to promoting workforce management and communication solutions for deskless workers. Angelina is inspired. And yes, she's also inspired by how technologies can serve to improve employee experience through intelligent and innovative responses to social changes and contemporary workforce issues. Angelina, I am so excited to have you on the show today.
Hello, Megan. Very nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome. Now, where are you today? I know you are literally a world traveler.
Currently, I'm speaking from Sydney, Australia, the down under country.
Ah, nice. You know, I've never been to Sydney.
You definitely should come. It's a beautiful city.
Oh, I look forward to that. I really do. All right. Well, we've got tons to dive into, so let's get started. What is the voice of employee, the VOE, and why must it be heard and valued in business?
Well, this is a topic that always fascinates me. If I give you a definition, voice of the employee definitely refers to all the feelings, perceptions, experiences of the employees. People often think when they hear voice of employee, they will think, let's just take employee service. But it's more than that. It includes all the communication channels. For example, your one-to-one with your manager, with your team, and feedback giving, service, sentiment gathering, information sharing, interviews, focus group. There's so many ways that could contribute to voice of an employee.
I mean, I love the fact that you go so deep on this topic because it's so needed right now. I mean, you're right. The first thing we think about is employee surveys, and it's so much more than that.
And the fact is, often every worker, whether you're office-based, you're remote, hybrid, or in the frontline, hourly paid or shift workers, everybody desires to be heard and valued and to feel that you're doing meaningful work and you have a purpose for your work. This is universal human need. But I want to point out that the voice of employee for deskless workers has a unique operation focus. It's because these deskless workers, they are very close, they are closest to production or they're closest to customers. So their feedback is crucial to help identify what's happening in the work process or what's happening in our customer service. So improvement and actions can be taken.
Let's talk about ways that employers can create more predictive scheduling, flexible working conditions, fair recognition, and I think most importantly, overall engagement, making it easier for deskless employees.
There are several best practices that employers can adopt to encourage voice employee and action on for the deskless workforce. For example, from a scheduling point of view, our research finds that more than 55% of the deskless workers, they experience weekly changes in their shift patterns. And they only just get 1 week notice maximum.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah. those people who experience this unpredictability of their work are likely to leave. And also, they will not recommend the company to others due to their bad experience.
And that really becomes a vicious cycle. It really can. Without a communication loop, everyone's kind of left dangling, and that's not a good place to be.
There are a few things that the employer can do to improve that. For example, they can use advanced online scheduling tools, which provide visibility and consistency of work schedules. And also, they could give workers option to accept shift offers or swap shifts with their co-workers. So make it easier for them to manage their work-life balance. In another way, recognizing and celebrating their efforts is very vital in supporting them. A large percentage of deskless workers, they feel the best efforts are often ignored because they don't get heard or they don't have a voice. So really give timely appraisal or feedback when a good job is done can keep them motivated and feel valued. And finally, a very important aspect is provide on-the-job training is also crucial because, people feel that if the organization invests in their learning and development, they're more likely to stay and do a great job. There's also for deskless workers, they're very different. Remember, there's a lot of young workers now in the workforce, and they want things to be mobile, just in time, in the flow of work. So finally, really invest in the open communications can help the managers to check in their team members and to provide support or provide information. So making the deskless workers feel connected and informed.
So how can technology, especially mobile, help create a more seamless communication exchange for employees and employers? And how do we make this work for deskless workers? Because if you're out there and you're deskless, we feel for you. We're listening to you, and we want you to be heard.
Megan, smartphones are an essential tool for managing our day-to-day lives. And organizations really should employ these powerful but pocket-sized supercomputers to connect with the workers on the front line. Our research also reveals that 45% of employees said, I would prefer to receive training and information to my mobile phone. But only 20% of them receive these options from their employers. And another example is the younger generation in the workforce, they prefer very small, short videos for training, bite size, like
tiny.
Yeah. TikTok or YouTube videos. They don't want to sitting or read a manual or sitting like a classroom style training for hours. They just want a few minutes of video, how to do this work. Do I need to do this important procedure training or do I need to read this update on the safety? They just need the information just in time and to their mobile phone.
When it comes to good communication, some of the barriers are, of course, adoption and action. Could you describe to us what those mean and how companies can address them successfully?
Yeah, there are so many communication tools in the market, and it's really a very crowded space. But the biggest, as you mentioned, the biggest obstacle is adoption. Why? Because those deskless workers, they don't have a computer. They don't stand in front of a computer every day to check emails and to respond things. Their work needs them to be on the field or shop floor. So those communication tools in the market means that they have to step out of their normal workflow. They have to go to a place to access the computer, or they have put deliberate efforts, to stop what they're doing to participate. So the thing is, if anything not directly related to their work is not important for them. So most of this type of communication would struggle with adoption and usage, and particularly for culture-based social network, this kind of thing, right? It's good you could have time to participate, but really your most priority is to get your job done. And if this doesn't relate to the job at hand, it probably doesn't matter much.
But then again, we're not being holistic.
Yeah, and that's why I said in the beginning that voice of the employee for deskless workers have an operation focus. Because what I mean is there's a data, we know the data of where they work, what they're working, who they worked with, and this data must feed into their communication and provide the context from the conversation and help the manager. Okay, that person normally is on time, but today is late. And the manager can get a prompt, say, okay, I need to check in. I hope he's well. It's nothing bad happened. And also make sure the work is covered by somebody, right? This kind of communication that really relates to whether they're late or doing a period of overtime. For example, when you do a couple of days overtime and your manager checks in, are you all right? Whether this is affecting your well-being. So this kind of thing we're talking about, and just in time and with the context and powered by data and intelligence.
So tell us, what are some best ways for employers to select a communication vehicle and make it work for everyone? Because it is possible. We know this, right?
Yeah. But first of all, we have to recognize that the needs for deskless workers are different. And these type of employees should be taken as seriously as those office knowledge desk-based workers. So the old approach to employee communications used to be really very, top-down communication, or let's just do biannual service or quarterly service. But for deskless workers, they want something different, and they need scheduling flexibility, information on demand, learning on their mobile devices, and at the same time, connect to their managers and co-workers in the moment that matters, right? Related to their work. So, really for organizations that looking for a solution, they should look at beyond just thinking about the deskless workers and make sure that they have all the types of workers in the mind, the entire workforce. And also when they look for a solution, they must integrate to the technology already being used by the deskless worker. For example, people are already using workforce management solutions to clock in, clock out, maybe do the shift swaps, apply for leave on their mobile phone. The solution should be all come together and integrated with this data. And thirdly, it's really, we're not just talking about a simple chat system, right? It should be workflow driven. It should be relevant to you, and make sure, there is the communication is related to what you care most. Get your job done, make your work easier, make you easier to manage your work-life balance, and also to help the managers to have the right conversation at the right time. Only technology can do that, right? Because it can send you prompts or alerts to remind manager, okay, let's check in, something happened. Or, this is a new thing that's just introduced from the corporate is a safety procedure, and let's get everybody up to date. And another thing is just in time. For example, you just put John on the shift to do a new set work. He did that a long time ago, and maybe just before the shift, you push through the little training video to refresh his skill, his memory, just before he's about to use it. So finally, any solution you put in place should support the flexible work that's designed by deskless workers to make sure that it's easy for them to communicate to their co-workers so they can have the flexibility to manage the work schedule. For example, they will be able to swap shifts with their co-workers or accept shift offers that suit their personal needs. Not only that give them a voice, not only allow them to talk to their manager, they can also talk to their peers to have the team collaboration. For example, when you have a new worker join the team, maybe it's a good idea to put him together on the shift with a senior worker so he can learn from the senior person, and the learning and sharing can happen on the job. But the technology can help you to do that, can recognize who has the skills, qualification, who's more experienced, and then form the team to suit the needs to train them up.
Dr. Angelina Sun, you are the rock star of A Voice of Employee, the VOE. I can't thank you enough for stopping by today and all that great work you're doing on behalf of deskless workers. It matters a lot right now.
Thank you, Megan. I think listening to the voice of the employee and treating employee as a valuable asset is so crucial for employers to succeed. I'm so happy to have this conversation with you today.
Thanks for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. You can hear all of our Work Trends podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and beyond. And be sure to subscribe so you can listen on the go and stay up to date on all the latest news you need. Catch up with you next time, and I hope today's information made you wiser, happier, and more informed.